Hi, friend. Welcome to Mindful Chatting. I want to ask you a question, and I don't want you to answer it based on who you are around other people. I want you to answer it based on who you are when you're completely alone, when no one is watching, when nobody is clapping, and when nobody is criticizing, when nobody knows whether you've succeeded or failed. Who are you really then? More specifically, how do you treat yourself then? Because I think a lot of people spend years working on their relationships, their careers, their parenting, their friendships, while completely ignoring the relationship that impacts every single area of their life, the relationship they have with themselves. And most people don't discover what that relationship really looks like until it falls short. Let's unpack this together. Welcome to Mindful Chatting, a podcast where therapy meets real life. I'm Kristen, a therapist, business owner, and a lifelong student of what it means to fully show up in our relationships, in our work, and in our healing. Here, we unpack mental health concepts, explore mindfulness tools, and talk through the messy, beautiful, in-between moments that shape us. Whether you're a fellow clinician, a curious listener, or someone navigating your own growth, this space is for you. Let's chat. I think success hides a lot of things. When things are going really, really well, most people feel really okay about themselves. And when their goals are getting done and the checklist is being checked, and when the routine is really working for them, when people are approving of them, it's easy to feel really confident in yourself. It's easy to feel really capable. But the real test of your relationship with yourself isn't what happens when you're succeeding. It's what happens when you aren't succeeding, because that's when the internal dialogue really shows up. And I want you to listen to that voice. I want you to think about the last time something didn't really go according to your plan. Maybe you skipped a workout, forgot an appointment, procrastinated, abandoned a project, or really made a mistake. What was the first thing you said to yourself? Not out loud, but internally. Was it, oh my gosh, I'm so lazy? Or here we go again? Or I never really follow through? Or what is wrong with me? Because many people are speaking to themselves in ways they would never speak to another human being to. But yet, we do it to ourselves. Why? Okay, quick pause. Because you've ever found yourself rewinding this episode like 3 times because your brain just drifted, this is for you. I hear this all the time. I can focus, just not when I actually need to. And that's exactly what the focus course is about. Because here's the truth. ADHD isn't a lack of attention, it's a regulation issue, which is why some days you're locked in for hours and other days you're rereading the same sentence, wondering what just happened. So inside my executive functioning focus course, I break this down in a way that actually makes sense for you. We go through how your attention works in your brain, your specific focus patterns, why you get distracted externally and internally, and how to actually build a system that helps you stay on track and come back when you drift. Because the goal isn't perfect focus, it's knowing how to return without spiraling. So if you're tired of blaming yourself and you just want something that actually works with your brain, I'll link the focus course in the show notes. All right, let's get back to this episode. So here's the thing. Shame pretends to be really a motivation for us. This is where it's going to get interesting for you. A lot of people believe that being hard on themselves is what's keeping them accountable. They think if I'm not critical of myself, I'll stop trying. Or if I'm not really hard on myself, I'll become complacent. But shame is not the same thing as accountability. Shame says you're the problem, where accountability says something didn't work. Let's understand why. One attacks and one investigates, and only one creates actual lasting change. I think one of the most exhausting things people carry are the expectations that nobody else can see. Those are invisible standards, the rules, the measurements, the shoulds. I should be further along. I should be more disciplined. I should have figured this out by now. I should be handling this way better. And what's fascinating is that most of these standards aren't consciously chosen, they're inherited from family, culture, social media, our old versions of ourselves. And yet we continue juggling ourselves against them absolutely every day. If you're listening to this and thinking, this is exactly what I struggle with, I want you to know that I built something specifically for you. The EF, or Executive Functioning Activation course, walks you through why task initiation feels so hard with your ADHD and how to actually get yourself moving without shame, pressure, or burnout. It's short, practical, and designed for ADHD brains, not productivity culture. If starting is your biggest barrier, this course gives you structure, language, and tools that actually work for you. You'll find the link in the show notes. This is where self-compassion comes in. And self-compassion is not self-excusing. I want to clear something up about that. Self-compassion does not pretend everything is okay. It's not lowering your expectations. It's not avoiding your responsibility. Self-compassion just simply says, I can be honest about what happened without attacking myself. You can acknowledge that you made a mistake without making yourself the mistake. You can recognize that something didn't work without deciding that you're actually broken. But here's the real cost of self-criticism. Most people think self-criticism creates a lot of improvement, but it often creates a lot of avoidance. Because if every mistake leads to the shame, your brain will start avoiding situations where mistakes are absolutely possible, which means you'll have fewer risks, less growth, more procrastination, and more fear. Not because you're lazy, but because you're actually protecting yourself. So, what happens? Because this is the question I always get, what happens when you become a safe place for yourself? Imagine, just for a second, what would change if you became the safest place in your own life? Not the easiest one, not the most permissive place, the safest place. The place where mistakes could happen, setbacks could happen, but growth could also happen without your worth being put on trial every single damn time. Because that's where resilience comes from, not perfection, safety. If you want to understand your ADHD in a deeper way, I've created the ADHD Crash Course, and it walks you through ADHD step by step so that you can actually start understanding your brain and not shaming it. Everything's in small, doable lessons designed for your ADHD in mind. The link is in the show notes. One of the biggest shifts I've had to make in my own life was realizing that my self-talk wasn't making me stronger. It was making me afraid. Afraid to fail, afraid to fall behind, afraid to make mistakes. And when I started treating myself with more curiosity instead of criticism, I actually became a little bit more consistent, not less. This is why so many planning systems fail, not because the planner was wrong or not because the routine was wrong, but because the entire system was built on pressure, built on proving something, built on avoiding failure. And eventually, pressure becomes too heavy to carry. The most sustainable systems aren't built on shame, they're built on support. So most people aren't really struggling with discipline. They're struggling with how they treat themselves when they fall short. Because eventually, the relationship you have with yourself becomes the foundation underneath everything else in your life. And if that foundation is built on criticism, nothing ever feels like enough. But if it's built on compassion, accountability, and support, well, growth becomes a lot easier to sustain. As always, be gentle with your mind. One more thing before you go, and this helps me personally, staying present and grounded, which we all need, especially when your brain wants to spiral into disconnection. Me too. It's Brain FM. It's musically designed to help ADHD brains, well, really anyone's brain, focus, relax, or sleep, and I use it almost daily. If you want to try it, I've dropped my link in the show notes. And if you're looking for planning tools or ADHD-friendly resources, I'll keep a list of my favorite links in every episode.